For a long time, ChatGPT was like a Google replacement. When I use my phone today, I feel like I am walking down Times Square in New York. Getting one person can do way more than they could before.
With tools like Operator, Code Interpreter, what kind of workflows do you think will disappear or appear that we just aren't ready for yet?
For a long time, ChatGPT was like a Google replacement. You could ask it something that was about as long as a Google query, maybe like half an hour worth of Google queries it could assemble together. And that was still pretty good, but it still felt like a more advanced version of search. But now you start to see things where you can really give a task to Codex, for example, or to Deep Research, and you have this thing go off and do a bunch of stuff and come back to you with a proposal. It's like a very junior employee that can work on something for a short period of time. And if you think about how much of the work that the world does is work that can be done in front of a computer in few hour chunks where you then have someone say okay, that was good enough or not, it's quite a lot. So I think this is going to go, this is part of that overhang we were talking about earlier, but I think this is going to go quite far. And I think with current O3, to say nothing of our next model, you can build a lot of experiences like this.
How do you see the future of human-computer interaction and interfaces? And what are sort of the limitations of those interfaces that motivate you?
One of the things that I think sci-fi got right is the idea of the interface almost melts away. Voice interfaces today we think of as something that is kind of sucky because they don't work that well. But in theory, if you could say to a computer, this is exactly what I want to happen today, and if there's any changes, if I'm delayed, if something happens, I trust you to go off and do all those things, but I don't want to be interrupted, I don't want to think about it. And it just did it all and you trusted that it worked. That would be an interface that almost melted away, except when it was a super great human assistant needed to talk to you. But you would be really thrilled. When I use my phone today, I feel like I am walking down Times Square in New York, getting bumped into by people. I love my phone, it's an incredible piece of technology. But it's notification here, this thing happening, this thing popping up, bright colors, all kinds of flashing things at me. It's just stressful. And I can imagine an interface where the computer mostly melts away, does the stuff I need, but I really trust that it's going to do a great job of surfacing information to me, making judgment calls about when I have to do, acting on my behalf when it should, and I'm quite excited for that. I'm not going to tell you what the new device is. Well, I'll tell you one-on-one, but I'm not going to tell in the room. But it's very I hope we can sort of show people a different way to have computers.
We're entering this age of intelligence. I love that essay of yours. What do you think this era will mean for, how we live, how we work, and how do we create value for each other as a society?
In some sense, the whole arc of technology is one story, which is we discover more science, build better tools, all of society builds the scaffolding a little bit higher. And we have this more impressive tool chain. And the whole point of it is that one person can do way more than they could before. And this has been going on for a long, long time, each generation. Certainly, if you compare a person today from a person 100 or 1,000 years ago, one person is incredibly more capable. And the kind of social contract is that you put something, you build the next layer of the scaffolding. But what someone can do now with this new set of tools, with this, this new layer that's built in, is pretty incredible. And I think one of the things that will feel most different about these next 10 years versus these last 10 years is how much a single person or a small group of people with a lot of agency can get done. And that is a bigger deal than it sounds like. Because coordination costs are huge. And when we can empower people with more knowledge, more tools, more resources, whatever, I think we won't just see a little bit more stuff get built, but because of these kind of coordination costs across people, we'll see a real step change. So I think the amount that one person or a small team get done, the satisfaction in doing that, and most importantly, the quality of stuff we'll all get for each other will be quite remarkable. When I think back about the OpenAI story, I often think about just the kind of key few tens of people that did the amazing work that led to what we all have now. But I try to remember that I always also have to think about like the tens of millions of people, maybe it's more, throughout history that started like digging rocks out of the ground, figuring out how semiconductors work, building computers, building the internet, and on and on and on, that let this small group be able to work at such a high level of impact that they never would have been able to do without the collective output of society.